so long.
I know.
Yeah, Walter Camp Game Day. We're in the studios today. I'm back in the storage closet. Chris seems to be right. And where are you, Chris? Are you?
I'm
in
right
your
at
bedroom?
home. I'm chilling.
All right.
Right in the room, man. So in a comfortable space, man. It was a great day, beautiful day down here in Dallas, Texas, man. So I'm ready, man. I'm ready for whatever you got for me, Rob. I'm ready to get into it.
Is this where you do your broadcasting, right in this chair in this location?
Oh yeah, right. This is where everything
That's where the
happens.
magic
I mean, the
happens.
ideas, the list, the predictions, the live shows,
Yeah.
everything. So I'm right in the office, man.
So Chris is part of the Gridiron 1880 network. He's just killing it right now. You know, there's so much to talk about with you because you're like the prime example of what's happening now in digital media, social media, content creation, you know, building your own media network, which you're doing right now. You're building, you know, your own media channel. You got 70,000 plus followers, faithful followers on TikTok right now, right? So 75, somewhere around there, 73, 70, whatever. That's pretty good. I think anytime you get over 10,000, you're cranking, you know, so you're doing pretty well. So you found it, you know, you were the interesting thing about you, which I love about it. I just feel like we kind of, we found somebody who has some credibility in this thing. And the credibility, besides the fact that you work for Texas A&M, the football operational side, the game day op, so you've seen it from a different lens, but you're also a football official. Right. And on top of it all, you're also a special ed teacher.
I am. All three.
You're all three. So that gives you a different lens than just being a fan of the game. Right. And I just think, you know, the special ed thing that's my favorite thing about the whole thing. Forget what you do. But I think working inside of football operations, working for a P4 school, and being on that side of it. So just talk a little bit about that, like your journey to how you got from, hey, I really want to work in the sports industry, I want to work in football, to, hey, I like this, but you know, I'd rather have this as a side hustle right now and do some other stuff. So anyways, but tell your story.
Oh yeah. So I mean, of course, I went to Texas A&M down in College Station, and I first started out working camera. I was working camera for the football games. I was working camera for the basketball games. When you went to Texas A&M basketball game, I was the main camera that was under the goal. I was the one that if a player goes for a layup and he runs to the cameraman, that was me.
That was you.
I admit I got trucked a couple times. So yeah, it was crazy times. And I worked the field camera for the A&M football games. The field camera is the one that's the wireless. We are recording the on-field talent as they are interviewing coaches, interviewing players after the game. So that was me. Loved it, man. It was truly a blessing. It was called 12 Man Productions. I did that for all undergrad. So it was an amazing time. Then got into grad school, and on a random day, I'm editing a video for Anaya Smith. They're going to post on A&M football on Instagram. And I get a call from A&M football, and they're like, hey, like, you know, you've been highly recommended about just being a good, hardworking man, and we want you to come over and work for us. And I was like, I didn't give it a second thought. I was like, yeah, let's do it. I didn't. Some students ask for what the pay is, what the hours look like, what the schedule. I don't need to know any of that. I said, let's do it, let's run it, and started working for A&M football, and it became an opportunity I never thought that door would ever open. And it was amazing being able to work with. My first year there was the #1 recruiting class of all time, with Evan Stewart, with Denver Harris, like all the great Connor Wegman, and how everybody just left after that 1 year. So that was my first year with the team. Shamar Stewart, I mean, I remember helping him move into Park West Apartments, and him trying to figure out what type of screwdriver a Phillips screwdriver was.
Chris to the rescue.
Yeah. No,
was making a Home Depot runs.
Yeah. Exactly. So, yeah, man, it was a blessing just being able to work game days. I mean, we worked 40 plus games with A&M, just being able to make sure everything was ready from away games, practice. I mean, the cowbells we had it when we played Mississippi State. So, I mean, different things that were going on, man. It was a blessing, man. And I look back now, and I'm like, we went to practice just thinking, oh, I got to go to practice. You know, I'll finish that up for team dinner. And I'm like, wow, that was the quickest time of my life. And it was, I would say, the best years of my life. Because, I mean, I wish the average fan would be able to say that they can work for their favorite college football team, because they get a whole new perspective. So, graduated from A&M. left A&M football. They offered me a job, and I was kind of like, you know what? I love it. I don't like the aspect of moving around from one school to this school every year, every 2 years. So I went and coached football for a year. Then I came home to Duncanville where I graduated. Now I teach special ed. And now I know that's my true calling. So I love it. And every day is so different, but I still enjoy each one of them. I love all my students, man. So I know I'm exactly where I need to be. So yeah, I love it. I have zero complaints, Rob.
Yeah, you know what? As my mother would say when I was down that road working in that space, you're doing God's work, Rob. You're doing
Oh yeah,
God's
yeah.
You're doing God's
She
work,
do.
Chris. You're doing God's work. So that's important. But I think, like I said, the point of view that you have now, it's so much different when you're on the inside than when you're assuming stuff on the outside. So
Mhm.
do you have those moments where you have to pause sometimes on your assessment or your point of view where you're making not just about A&M but any of the schools out there when you're looking from the outside in and you kind of understand how the inner workings go within a major P4 game?
Oh
So
yeah.
talk about that, like what is your mindset now and how you give your point of view on kind of players and games and teams and coaches.
Man, that's a great question. I ain't gonna lie, that's an amazing question, Rob. I would definitely say there are definitely times where I have to like hold back on what I say about SEC teams because working in the SEC, you know, a lot of people that worked at Ole Miss, Kentucky, Missouri, Oklahoma, Texas, and we all kind of move around. We transition to different schools, and so I always tell people on my page, I'm A&M's hardest critic. People always say, "Oh, why'd you say A&M's going 7-5?" Or why'd y'all say you're gonna lose this game or you have that stroke? I'm like, well, because I know the guys that's playing. I know the coaches that's coaching them. I know the people that's putting out the jerseys in the locker room before the games. And I'm always A&M's hardest critic. And whenever I go back to A&M, they're like, man, you said this about me, this about me. I'm like, because I just want to motivate you guys. Because I know y'all are going to be doing some better things than what you're doing. I know we can go more than 8-4. But in my space, I know so many people that work for a lot of different teams. So I've come in the last 6 months, I've been in this, I guess, position to where now people always, when I talk to people, my friends, because I have friends that work for 9 different SEC teams and over 26 Power 5 teams, Power 4 teams. And so now sometimes when they talk to me and they tell me things, they're like, can you not talk about that on live? And I'm just like, I think about it, I'm like, wow, like, is this the type of space that we're on now where people are telling me I can't say that on my live or asking me not to say that? Or and I'm like, okay. So when I talk to people and they tell me that, I'm like, I will not mention that. Or I say, hey, do you want me to say that on my live? If not, totally cool. Um, like there was, I think a year ago at Texas when CJ Baxter got hurt. My friend was at Texas. He works for Texas. And he was telling me, bro, CJ Baxter went down. He was like, don't talk about it. Don't talk about it on live. And he's like, it's not public news. We don't know what the injury was, but it wasn't good. He's going to miss a lot of time. I didn't talk about it. I just told people, hey, Texas, I think the running game is going to be taking a hit this year. And stuff like that. So it's just being more safe with what I say and now asking people like, hey, do you want me to talk about that on my show? Or if not, do you want to put that in my video? If not, totally cool. And most times the answer is no, because people want the public, I guess, these bigger national brands to get it out first. So for me, I always ask like, hey, you want me to say it? If not, that's totally fine. But that's probably the biggest thing that I've had to endure the last 6 months to a year. It's just, wow, like maybe I've made it to a space to where like, you know, there's private information that I just can't say. And I kind of like that. So yeah, that's been a really fun part of it.
Yeah, I mean that's an earned respect that you get, and it shows maturity,
Oh
because at
yeah.
some point, at the end of the day, it's you'll have more credibility with the folks internally than you will,
Mhm.
if anything else, because they're going to share that information because they know you can keep a secret.
Oh
Snitches
yeah.
get stitches. Snitches get stitches, right?
I know.
Snitches get
I
stitches.
know. I know.
Yeah, you don't want to go down that road because at the end of the day, it's not your place to make that breaking call, right? You got the inside scoop. You have that validity now of someone that's been there. So these guys trust you, and that's a great place to be. So congratulations, you've crossed over, Chris.
Oh, thank you, man. I'm hoping to keep climbing. That's all I'm trying to do
Keep
from here on
climbing.
out.
So let's talk about this because this is something that I think I don't think we've ever seen a week like we've seen in week one before, right? So that last weekend was insane on how these
Yeah.
teams stacked, and now you're going to see some kind of fluff games coming in, but to come out of week one like that and roll the dice, as many teams that were ranked like that. How do you think that do you think that the way that they scheduled it is opened up because of the playoffs now that they have time to make up games if they lose week one, like Alabama? Can Alabama come back? Right. And maybe not, but that's an example of you're not going to probably have a school like Florida State go 12-0 and not make the playoffs moving forward after this. So is the 12 game playoff system good where it is, or does it expand to 16 or higher? And does that dilute the regular season, or does that give the bigger ranked teams a little bit more space to make to take a bump in the road along the way? Does it add to the regular season is what I'm saying. So what's your thoughts on kind of the playoff system and how it plays into the scheduling?
Man, I've always been an advocate of the playoff was something I felt like was needed based off some of the matchups we had in the BCS era, which, I mean, there were some good games. Like, there were a bunch of great games in the BCS era. But when we went to a 14 playoff, I was like, okay, I can vibe with 4 teams. And then they were like, we're going to expand it. And I was like, okay, what do we expand it to? And they said 12. And I was like, are there 12 teams in college football that are capable of winning a national championship?
That's a great point.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Probably not. Especially if you're going to make sure the G5 has at least one of those teams. So that means a team like a 9-3 Ole Miss doesn't get in. A 9-3 Alabama doesn't get in because a G5 team had to get in. And for me, I think there are about 6 teams every year that are good enough to actually win a national championship, not 12. But as far as it goes to scheduling, I think it's totally changed how teams are scheduling. I mean, teams, like you said, fluff games. I mean, everybody has like 1, 2, some teams have 3 a year because they know during the SEC run, it's crucial. I mean, you look at Florida's schedule, they have to play 9 teams in the top 15. 9? That's horrible. And so I personally think that as of right now, I like the seeding, getting rid of the automatic 1, 2, 3, 4 spots for conference champs. I do like that because, I mean, there are some years where a Georgia and Texas might be the top 2 teams in the country. They need to be 1 and 2. Or Ohio State and Michigan is 1. They need to be 1 and 2. So I would say that the scheduling is going to be a lot more competitive, and there will be a lot more top 10 matchups, top 20 matchups, stuff like that, because no longer can you lose to a Kentucky like Ole Miss did, because they knew if we beat Kentucky, we're in, and they lost to Kentucky. So no longer can you lose a little easy game. You have a loss to Miami looks a lot better for Notre Dame than a win against Northern Illinois, who they couldn't beat last year.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Looks a lot better. Yeah,
it's a great point.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it adds up. So it, without this playoff system the way it is, that doesn't happen anymore.
Doesn't happen.
No,
doesn't happen. And I think that's the SEC is one of the biggest advocates of that, saying, hey, we're going to go to 9 conference games. And you know what? In those 3 non-conference games, you're going to have to play a major opponent.
Yeah.
So I think that's definitely huge.
Yeah.
Definitely huge.
So it doesn't dilute the regular season then. It actually adds a little bit more flavor to it.
Oh, yeah, especially week 1, because, I mean, usually we get 1 top 10 matchup. And that's just because ESPN wants somebody to feature a big game. I mean, we had 3 big games. We had a Monday night game that was great. So, I mean, and I liked it. I mean, did you like it that I feel like Friday we had a good game, Saturday, Sunday, every single night it seemed like there was a great game to watch.
It was the best that I ever remember it being, for just the excitement, getting excited about. I mean, week 0, I guess you can wrap your head around Hawaii and Stanford, and but this week the hype around it with Lee Corso, final game day, announcement and picks, and the whole thing around it, and the fact that up until 4 or 5 years ago, when they used to do the NFL preseason up until Labor Day weekend, they don't do that anymore. And I just think that it was uncluttered. You had your focus in on it, and it's the first week kids are back on campus, so there's that buzz. It's just probably the greatest, I think, besides if you get into March Madness. And that's another thing, does the college football playoffs become better than, or just a great add-on to what March Madness has become, although March Madness, there's, you could have a quote unquote FCS team come in and win it all, like a Butler or Gonzaga, right? Because basically
Mm-hmm.
that's what they are. You're not going to see that in this and
Mm-hmm.
this type of players. But anyway, so um, the last thing I wanted to talk about was with you, and we've created at Walter Camp, we've created an award that you give out exclusively, right, across P4 G5. It's the Walter Camp GameChanger Award, and that's for any player, coach, fan, anybody that's changing the game. You came
Mm-hmm.
out of the gate with two big picks, right? Quarterback from Florida State and quarterback from I was going to say BC.
Hey,
So
originally that's
you
where
had
he's from.
Kansas, and the quarterback from Florida State, and so this award was really customized for you. Our sponsors of that is Wild Society Nutrition and Caveman Eats, and it's a really cool product, and I think it aligns with who you are, your fitness guru, and everything else. So,
Oh yeah, yeah.
so talk about that. Talk about the Walt. This is the Chris Polk Game Changer Award. Now it's the Walter Camp Game Changer Award presented by Wild Society, and Chris is he's the guy that picks it. We don't get involved. All we say is, Chris, pick it. Let us know who it is, and let's roll with it. And I think it's only going to continue to grow as you wrap your arms around that. So talk about kind of what you're looking for and, the responsibility you have now of making this pick right.
Yeah, and I mean, first off, thank y'all for allowing me to do this because like
Yeah.
this is fun. It's
Yeah.
fun watching a bunch of games being like who had the biggest impact of the whole weekend, and I love that aspect. And then being able to be involved with Wild Society, man, it's a great gig. So I'm honored to be able to do it. So thank you, Rob. I appreciate y'all, and I know it's a big responsibility, and I take it very seriously. And I will say this: it involves me watching a lot of games, maybe watching two games at a time, and I think that's awesome. But the premise, I would say, the base of this award is not the guy that throws for the most yards, not the guy that had the most tackles, the most sacks, not the team that put up the most points. It's the people that have the biggest impact of the whole weekend. Like you said, it could be a fan, could be a coach. I mean, Dan Lanning changed the rules against Ohio State. Could have been him last year if we did this. So I mean, it's such a there's such a big pool you can choose from. I mean, from a squirrel on the field that changed the game or the crowd atmosphere. I mean, it's such a fun award. So I love it, man. And I think there's just so many ways you can go with it. And I think it's one of the funnest awards we're going to ever present out there. And I love that, we're shining light on people that may not be in the top 25 or a coach that may not have the biggest contract, but the way he's building his team up, everybody can see it. So, shining light on those biggest heroes of the week is something that I think definitely we are going to do a great job of with this award.
You are, because like I said when we open it up, you bring such a different lens to this thing, especially from where you came from at A&M, as kind of that digital media, capturing those moments, being a camera on the field, being a lens, getting run over by power forwards in basketball, and then going on to the game operational side of it and being in there. You have a different lens because you've seen behind the curtain of what it takes. An equipment manager who gets, because the kicking tee is missing, right? All of
Yes.
those things is like he just saved the game because he found the kicking tee. Or someone's helmet was messed up and he had to change the face mask. And there's so many pieces and elements of coordinating that game that needs to go right. And it's just not about the players, it's about everybody. And so whether that's the 12 man coming down on the walk ons, coming down on a kickoff team and recovering a fumble and scoring, there's so many
Yeah.
elements to this. And there's no one better that we find right now, Chris, than you to do this for us. So, how do people find you on TikTok or Instagram, and what's your handle? And why don't you give that out?
Oh yeah, so y'all can find me on TikTok and it's Polk POLK underscore A underscore dot DOT. So Polk it on TikTok. And same thing for YouTube. So whatever we post on TikTok is going straight to YouTube as well. So you can find it in a bunch of variety of ways. And if you're looking for Instagram, I will find you on there too, because I talk to a bunch of people on Instagram. It's a more fitness based thing. It's Polk POLK underscore fitness, and we do some stuff on there for college football as well. I have a lot of people that message me about this prediction and that player and that coach and this this game and what score going to be. So hit me up on all three, and I'll get back to you.
And you do live shows as well on TikTok. Which nights do you do those live shows?
So we do those live shows every day. We do not miss a day. And it's at different times. It's sporadic. There's usually a 7 p.m. Central Time show. But if not, I will put out a notification saying, hey, we're going to do it at 10. We're going to do it at 11. We're going to do it at 5. But every single day, we're going to jump on. We're going to talk ball. We're going to have fun. And that's something that I pride myself on doing to make sure I communicate with everybody every day. And, at least I say having that little time to just come on and talk ball for a little bit is something I feel like everybody needs. And it's a distraction from life. So I want to make sure to provide that, not for myself, but for everybody else as well.
Yeah, it's not a distraction for you. Besides officiating and teaching and doing God's work, as Mrs. Thompson would say,
sir.
and doing your live shows and bringing your passion out in live to everybody and sharing your talents, Chris. It's a blessing, and we're really, really proud and happy to be involved and partnered with you on this. So, so thank you so much. And on behalf of Chris, this is Rob. You're watching Walter Camp Game Day. We're going to be live at the end of the year over at Mohegan Sun. So if you live in the Northeast, Mohegan Sun in Connecticut, hopefully Chris will come up and join us at some point, presented by Gridiron 1880 Network. We'll see you next time. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Gig 'em, y'all. Come on.